Hi, everybody. Jessica here. I use she, her pronouns. And today's class, we're going to get started seated. So let's find a comfortable seat. And for this seat, we'll start with the legs nice and wide here. And we want to feel a connection between our sits bones and the earth here. So if you can't feel your sits bones, just kind of move the flesh from the thighs or underneath the hips out to the side. And you should feel those points right under the hips where the sits bones are. Take the legs out as wide as is comfortable. So if you feel pulling on the inner thigh that doesn't feel great, bring the legs in just a little bit. So just find where your comfort is here. And we want to flex the toes up gently. This helps to tighten the muscles around the knee to protect the kneecap. Flex the heels out slightly. Find that long spine. So notice if you're kind of shrimping forward like I am naturally, and just start to pull the shoulders up, pull that chest out nice and gently. Tuck the chin, crown of the head comes straight up. Rest the hands on the legs. And we'll just find our breath here. Tune in and connect with that life force. So just observe where that breath is naturally flowing, how it feels, how it's settling in the body. And then see if we can expand and grow that breath to be a little bit uh, bigger, a little wider, a little more expansive through the body. And if you have any blockages, any pockets of tension in the body that are locking that breath out, send your awareness to those spaces and send a little bit of softness, a little bit of ease through the breath to those areas in the body that just have a hard time letting go. And we're looking for that middle ground through this practice and all of our classes together. So that middle ground looks like a place where we are putting effort in, but we're not exerting the maximum amount of effort. We're finding ease even though we're putting the effort in. And I want you to think about the middle ground, the sattvic route, as we call in yoga, in the yoga world, in Sanskrit. That middle road between effortlessness and strength, right? Extreme strength. Always choosing that middle ground that gives us space to pull and dig even deeper if we need to, or to, lay back and ease up. So taking just a moment to marinate on the idea of the middle ground, that middle road, and what it looks like in your body, in your mind, in your practice. And then let's take a nice deep collective breath together with a audible exhale, a loud sigh or a quiet sigh if you'd like, just to kind of get us prepared to start moving today. Very good. Let's blink the eyes open here if they're closed. And I'm going to bring my hands behind me. So let's bring the hands behind us. The fingertips are pointing towards the body. And then slide the heels in so that you are on the soles of the feet here. And then let's just drop the knees over to one side. Take a moment, settle in. Maybe hands come to the thighs if you feel supported here. Soften the gaze. Hands come behind us again. We're going to move to the other side. Take a moment, sit up nice and tall, and change your adjustment here if you feel locked out of your hips. If you need to move this knee up higher or further back, feel free to adjust yourself. And we're going to move through this dynamically for the next few moments. So take your time, switching directions, taking a few breaths on one side and then the other, noticing if any of the tension is shifting in your body as we move through this. And take your time and breathe and find where you feel the sensation growing in the body. We're just very, very gently kind of getting into the hips in a nice, soft, easy way. We're kind of lubricating the joints in the hips. Maybe you feel a lengthening in the inner thigh area or the groin area, depending on how your body anatomy is situated, how you're feeling today. And as you loosen up, as we've gone through this a few times at this point, you can start to kind of adjust yourself to either take it up or turn it down as far as sensation is concerned. So just notice if your body is changing and adapting to this posture, if it's opening up. We don't have to keep it static. We can change the positioning of our hands or our knees or our legs, however they rest. And let's take one more on each side. Maybe lift the arms up for the last round. If you've got that stability here, lift up. Very good. Stay grounded, whichever side you end up on here. Let's plant our hands forward, and we're just going to come to tabletop position from here. So plant the hands down into the ground, come onto the knees, and then we'll find tabletop position. Maybe you walk yourself back on your mat here. And we're going to breathe through cat-cow posture to get into the spine a little bit. So make sure you have some space in the torso. The knees are stacked under the hips. Arms are a little bit of a different story. Your wrists can be strapped directly underneath the shoulders, or you can walk them forward a little bit if you need a little bit of extra support in the wrists or the palms. So if you're sore there, or even just in the upper body in general is not very strong, walk the hands forward, and that's going to take some of the tension out. So find your setup here, and we'll start with the cow pose. So loosen the neck. Neck is long, gaze is down. Wrap the elbows backwards, arms are strong. Inhale, drop that belly down and tilt the pelvis down to the ground. So if the pelvis was a bowl of water, you would be spilling it all over the ground here. Exhale, scoop the pelvis back, round through the spine. Shoulders press up towards the sky, chin to chest, press the ground away. Inhale, cow pose. Don't lose the elbows here. Make sure they stay strong and wrapped back. Elbows point backwards. Inside of the elbows, point forward. And find this at your pace. Warming up the body, getting into the spine. Making sure to get your head and your tailbone involved here to invite movement throughout the entire length of the spine. Find that ujjayi or that ocean breath if you'd like. And then we'll come back to center after you finish this last round. And we'll find our tabletop position, and let's make our way up from here. Curl the toes under. Gaze comes down between the palms. On the exhale, we're going to press the hands down, press the weight into the wrists, lift the knees up, and shift the weight back towards the heel. So we're pressing into the palms, we're pressing into the fingertips. The head is heavy, the neck is relaxed. Maybe the gaze comes between the feet on the mat here. Shake that head out, yes and no. You can have a bend in the knees if you're tight behind the legs, that's fine. One more breath. Exhale, sigh it out. Inhale, look forward, bend through the knees. Exhale, step, hop, jump, crawl. Find your way to the top of the mat. Take your time. This doesn't have to be graceful. Forward fold. Sink down into the heels here. Bend through the knees. Make this nice and easy with a little bit of effort mixed in for good measure. I feel like a good way to kind of determine if you're taking that middle road, if you're working too hard, we're not working hard enough is, you know, can you breathe through this? If you cannot breathe through this, it's too much. Back out. We want to be able to breathe easily. I feel like that's a good litmus test or indicator of what needs to be adjusted. Stay folded here for one more breath. Find a softness. Find a passive stretch with your body weight. Maybe your body is sitting on top of the thighs like mine is. Just let everything be together. On the next inhale, we're going to start to lift up, pressing into the heels, strengthening through the glutes and the hamstrings, lifting up one vertebrae at a time. Maybe you let the hands kind of walk up the legs for support. And we want the head to come up very last. Stack the head on top last. Ooh, and find your mountain pose, Tadasana. Roll the shoulders up to the ears or up to the face and down the back. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Lift that chest up. Lengthen through the spine. Gaze is down. Neck is long. Exhale, release. Let go. Fold. Moving nice and slow. Inhale, lift all the way up. Bend through the knees. Come up nice and slow. Press into the heels on all four corners of the feet. Upward salute. Reach up to the sky. Exhale, fold, hands to heart center. We're not folding. We're staying here in Tadasana. Close the eyes. Take a breath here. Very good. Let's step the feet together. If they're not close already, as close as is comfortable. You're going to come into one-legged mountain, and then to a lunge, and then back to the ground, and it's going to be fun. So starting here, hands at heart center. Find the rooting down through the big toes in each foot. And when you feel nice and aware and rooted down through that part of the foot, send that same awareness to the pinky toe and then to the heel. Feel nice and supported. Fire up the muscles from the calves all the way up into the quads and the glutes, feeling nice and strong. Draw that energy right up through the core. So as you feel that strength coming down or up from the feet, through the thighs, bring that up through the middle bodies, and think of it coming up as a zipper and making you nice and strong. Your muscles are aware and ready to go. They're fired up. We're going to shift the weight energetically in our mind into our right foot, and then start to kickstand the left foot. And then we're going to float that left foot up, or just stay on the toes here or the ball of the foot, whatever is in your practice today. Hold it for a breath. Gaze is forward. Shoulders are released away from the ears. And we're going to open this knee up. So stay with the balancing posture and start to open this left leg up. So the knee and foot are pointing to the opposite side of the room. And we're going to bring it back, all the way back. Reaching the toe back for the mat. Coming onto the ball of the foot, finding a lunge here. Ooh, and then let's sit into it for a moment. Hands can come to the waist if you'd like. Find your drishti. Sit a little bit deeper into this front thigh here. Maybe bring the arms up if you feel good. Hold this for one more breath. And exhale, hands come down. And we're going to release that back knee down to the ground. Nice and gently. Ooh, very good. Let's come into a half splits from here. So the knee is down. Our hands are framing the front foot or on the inside of the front foot, whatever works. And we're going to lengthen through this front leg. So you can pick up your heel and bring it a little more forward like I have here. So if you are a prop queen, like I am, apparently not today, this is a good place to have props under your hands if the ground feels far from you. Flex through this front foot, toes pop up towards your face, and think of pulling this hip back slightly. So if the hip is kind of forward, the leg is not straight, lengthen through that leg and pull the hip back. Next inhale, find that lunge again. Take your time. Reach up. Exhale, hands come down. We're going to curl the back toe under, come into our high lunge, and step forward. Forward fold. Hang out here for a few breaths. And one more breath. And inhale, bend through the knees, swoop the arms all the way up. Tadasana, and then upward salute, reach up. Fix that gaze forward, hands to heart center on the exhale. Release the hands down. We'll find that sequence again on the other side. So taking your time, hands come back to heart center. Shift that weight into the opposite foot this time. So energetically shift the weight into the left foot. And maybe kicks down the right. Or come to the toe. Or start to lift that knee up. If the foot is flexed, if the foot is released, flex through the foot. If you're not on the toe or the ball of the foot, flex through that floating foot. Bring that knee up into alignment. And then again, we're going to start to open up to the side of the room. Find your drishti. Find your balance. And then come all the way back. So if you come out of this, it's no thing. Come back in. Start over. Hit pause. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Find your lunge. Sit into that front thigh. Ooh, release that heart center. Let go of any tension you're holding on to. Find your balance. On the exhale, hands come down to the ground or to your props. And we're going to come back onto that knee nice and gently. So adjust your stance if you need to step back further. And we'll find our half splits here. So start to lengthen through that, extend through that front leg. Pick the heel up and move it forward if you need to. Fingertips are on the ground or on your blocks. Send this hip back slightly. Toes flex up. Gaze is down. Inhale, lunge, low lunge. Lift the arms up. Exhale, sit a little deeper. Hands come down. Again, to frame the foot or on the inside of the foot, and we're going to lift up from here. So curl the back toe under, lift the heel up, come to the ball of the foot. 1, 2, or 3 steps, find forward fold. Take your time. This is not a race. Sigh it out here. Halfway lift. On an inhale, release that body, lengthen through the spine, gaze is down, give yourself a smile. Exhale, melt into the earth. Let go. Feel that opening in the body after we've warmed up a little bit. Feel maybe the hamstrings have loosened up a little bit. Notice how quickly your body adjusts when given the time and the space and the patience to do so. Next, inhale. Bring the arms out and up. Upward salute. Reach for the sky. Tuck that chin. Reach those arms back a little bit. Let's find a little back bend. Maybe not. If you don't want to go there, stay here. But if you want to try for this back bend, keep those arms extended. Keep the gaze forward. We're going to bend through the knees slightly. So soften and bend through those knees just slightly and start to reach those arms back. Think of peeling the chest up towards the sky and keep that chin tucked. As you feel comfortable, you can lose the bend from the knees and press the hips forward. And maybe gaze comes up to the ceiling. Maybe it comes to the wall behind you. And when you're ready, exhale. Hands to heart center, close the eyes, come back. Come back to the middle. Come back to the middle ground. Close those eyes. Press the thumbs into the sternum. I want to see if you can find your heartbeat here. In this moment, ask yourself, what does it feel? What does it feel like to be alive? What does it feel like to be in this skin at this moment? How do you feel liberated? How do you feel restrained? Just taking a moment to check in, to acknowledge, to honor our body, our emotional state, physical state. Release the hands to the side, start to blink the eyes open. You're going to get into a few standing postures. Again, just focusing on finding that middle ground and finding a little bit of dynamic movement. So, coming back to center, find your grounding here. I like to rock back and forth and side to side on the feet just to find an idea of how I'm carrying my weight. And then based off that, I can really reinforce that and press down in places I need to press down in on my feet. So for example, I have a tendency to press down to the outside edge of my foot. So by realizing that, I can start to shift that focus to the inside of my foot to kind of equalize the way I'm carrying myself to help with balance and strengthening, hopefully. That's the idea at least. So find that here, and we're going to come back into that one-legged mountain that we were just in. So energetically, in your mind, before we physically start to do it, shift the weight into the left leg or whichever leg you're starting with. And once you've got that down, start to lift up the opposite leg. I like to start nice and slow, and you can keep it here, or you can lift. And we can bring hands to heart center for stability. Gaze comes down to your drishti. Flexing that floating foot, we're going to start to rotate that hip open. And then bring it back to center. This is a struggle. Balance is not everybody's forte. If you are having a hard time, hand comes to the wall, hand comes to the chair. This is really about hip mobility and focus. So if you're not with the balancing, you can still get your work in. Just use an assist. So we really want to think of rotating the hip completely open to the side. So almost think about tree pose and an extension of that with dynamic movement. And if you come out, come back in. Come back to center, drop the foot, drop the hands, shake it out. Shake out the balancing leg because it gets tired. And we'll come back to center. Reset. Hands at heart center. Find your balance. And when you're ready, you're going to lift off on the other side. Take your time. And breathe. And as you open or butterfly this hip, think of squeezing the glute to keep you in place. Squeeze the core. Squeeze the butt. Keep everything lifted. Press into the toe mounds. You are strong. You are incredible. You are supported. And you're not talking right now, so you have that advantage. Keep on moving, even if you get fatigued, even if the leg shifts a little bit here, you got this. Let's find one more here. And down, release, shake it out, shake out the legs. Step back towards the front of the mat. And we're going to find our pyramid pose from here. So again, we're going to come into it from that one-legged floating mountain type situation because we're keeping with the theme today. We're keeping consistent. So we'll start with the left foot this time. Ground in, down through that right foot. You can have hands at heart center or just bring the arms out. I feel like focusing the arms in one way or the other is always helpful. So as long as you don't have noodle arms, you're there. And find your drishti. You're going to lift, lift, lift. Open that knee up, nice and slow. You have control. You're a pro at this now. all the way down and back, and then we're going to step the foot down. And we're not going to find the lunge, we're not going to step the foot down super far. Just like so, right? So nice comfortable stance. Toes are both pointed forward. And option here to do whatever you want with your arms. I'm going to bring mine behind the back and grip the palms. And use that leverage to roll the shoulders back and to bring that chest forward nice and slightly. And we're going to find a fold from here. And this can be intense and difficult. So start nice and slow. Take a big inhale. Chest comes forward. Chin is tucked. Exhale, start to fold forward. Ooh, really pressing down into the feet. Find a lengthening in the spine here. And you want to come down as far as you can until where you start to feel that stretch. So if your hands are bound behind your back, if the space is there, lift the hands up off the back. You can keep them down. You can also just release your hands to the ground or to your props if you have them. Yogi's choice. Wherever you are, focus on really firmly rooting down through each toe knuckle, through the inside, the outside, and the heel of the foot. Relax the neck. One more breath. Exhale, release the hands if they're bound. Inhale, lift all the way up. Reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Step forward. We're going to do that again on the other side. So when you're ready, root down through the left foot or the opposite foot here. And find your one-legged mountain. Flex that floating foot if it's lifted. We're holding for a few more breaths. So strong, open that hip up, find your drishti. Controlled movement, graceful or not, who cares? We're doing the work either way. Step that foot down and back. Legs are straight, we're gonna find our pyramid pose. Find your option here. Big inhale. And exhale, fold, pressing into the front foot, the back foot, and adjusting yourself. If you need to make any adjustments, you need to step the feet further apart. You need to change the angle of that back foot to feel more supportive. Just remember the strength of this posture comes from that front leg. So if you're starting to bend into that knee, pull that hip back, lengthen through that leg. Release the chest and the face down. One more breath. Exhale, release the hands if they're not already there. And step forward. Forward fold. And breathe here. And again, give yourself a little bit of a smile. Halfway lift on your next inhale. Pull those shoulders away from the face. Find a length in the spine. Exhale, melt down. Inhale, lift up. Bend through the knees. Make it dramatic. Reach back. Maybe a back bend if you liked it the first time. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale, plant the hands down. We're going to step back. Downward facing dog. You can always come to your knees. You can skip it. You can find a child's pose, whatever. Shake out the head. Bend through the knees. Bring the knees down to hover over the mat. Shift the weight into the palms. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Inhale, shift into a plank. Bring the knees down just to tap the mat. Exhale, lift up, press back. 1 more time, you got this. 1 more time. And exhale, downward facing dog. And then we'll come down onto the knees from here. And find your variation of child's pose. You can keep the knees together and just kind of drape yourself down towards the earth if you like that. Extend a child's pose. Or you can take the knees nice and wide. Maybe the big toes are really close to each other in the back, and then just lay the body down. Maybe the forehead comes to the mat. Maybe it's on a block or your forearms. On your next inhale, start to make your way up from here. Coming to tabletop position, and we're going to come onto our back. So take your time. And roll down onto the back. We'll bring the soles of the feet down to the earth, and we'll find a supine butterfly from here. So soles of the feet come together, and then allow the knees to fall away from each other towards the ground. Arms can come down or overhead. Arms are not as important here. This is about the hips. So again, if you feel any pulling or tightness in the inner thigh or the groin, you can always bring a prop into this posture. Blocks underneath the thighs, or even like wedged under the hip creases. Really, really helpful to support the hips and the knees. Otherwise, just maintain this breath here for a few moments. Let everything kind of gravitate down towards the earth. Let this posture be nice and passive in your body. And let's bring the knees together here. Soles of the feet back down to the earth. And let's just find some windshield wiper legs here. So feet are a little bit wider than hip width distance apart, and then let the knees just drop to one side and then to the other. Very similar to how we started this class. We're just oriented differently, so it makes this feel different in the body. The weight is forced in a different direction, so there's a different type of pull on the tops of the thighs and in the hip flexors themselves. And we'll just find this on each side one more time, just a moment. Again, these postures down on the ground are passive, so there's no work we need to do, but we can still observe the sattvic route or the middle ground by noticing where our body is being pulled too deeply. So even if we're not exerting the energy physically, it's a passive thing, it's just happening from our body weight, we can still find that awareness of what is good for us and what is too much. And that is kind of in a nutshell what that middle ground means. I know I've probably explained it poorly throughout this entire class, but you're here now and you just got the best explanation that I could offer today. And then let's come back to center, and we'll take a moment here for shavasana. So yogi's choice, what position you want to be in. So let this be your last deep, forceful breath. Let your breath return back to its natural rhythm. So what that means is just, go back into autopilot. We don't have to focus on expanding that breath. However, You may find that that breath is naturally deeper, naturally more expansive, because we've created some space together. What does that feel like in your body? If we can create pockets of space, moments of movement and freedom within the body just through breath, just through intentional breath work, intentional movement, imagine the space that can be created in your heart, in your soul. How can you grow your capacity for love? And not even how, that might be a bit much, but just understand that the ability is there, that you are an incredible, amazing being with all of this energy and all of this power and all of this ability and all of this potential. So if in, half an hour, we can create this expanse in just your breath, in just the way your body feels. Imagine what could be possible with that heart space. Relax your jaw and melt the shoulders down into the earth. Feel the tips of the shoulder blades kind of peeking into your body as you relax the tops of the shoulders down. Notice how everything is connected. Those shoulder blades softening are connected to the rest of your back, the mid back, cervical and lumbar spine. Just notice how everything pulls on everything else, so it's so important to work on the breath, on awareness of that tension and where it resides and how we can start to break it down. Start to create room for it to release. We've reached the end of our practice together today. I invite you to extend this meditation, the shavasana, as long as you need to. And I hope that you'll join me again next time here on Joyn. Thanks so much for trusting me, and I'll see you next time.